Hello everyone, Matt here, and today I'm going to be trying something a little bit new. I asked one of my friends to try out Dekaron, just to kind of get a first impression of it. The purpose of this is to show whether or not Dekaron is a new player-friendly game. So, I want to point out that when I'm talking to him, this is not about me correcting his knowledge of the game. Because I want this to be, a first impression, because I wouldn't have been there with him when he was playing the game, and if these things aren't simple or intuitive, then obviously there's something wrong with it. I'm planning on doing this with a couple other of my friends as well, so I can get a larger sample size. Anyway, I will have my guest introduce himself to you.
Hey everyone, I'm Dennis. Just to give a quick overview of what I know about gaming, I've been playing gaming a lot. I play I actually play quite a few MMOs. I played the big three. Final Fantasy XIV, Heaven's Ward, World of Warcraft, Guild Wars 2, and I've even played quite a bit of Star Wars: The Old Republic. Back in the day, I played RuneScape with Matt here, and I've tried a little bit of Blade and Soul and a couple others.
So you've had quite a bit of MMORPG experience.
I would say yes.
Yeah, I would say so as well. So I think you're a good person for this. So actually first, why don't we say, or actually no, let's just say, the first question I want to ask you, Dennis, is besides for me, have you ever heard of Dekaron?
No.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that's going to be pretty similar for anyone else I talk to about this. Okay, so we're going to go from the beginning to the end, your experience playing. First thing
okay.
First thing you can talk about is I want you to talk about the installation process.
So, this installation process. Just gonna say this. Why do I need to download two separate things? Two separate things in order to start going on this game. And that's not even counting the fact that I needed to go through Nexon EU, not just Nexon's main site. When I went on the site, it was easy enough to find the download page. But the thing that, first things first was, I was just like, here's the Dekaron launcher. If I didn't know better than to read the download page because I saw more than one link, I would have been like, oh, that's all I need. And so I clicked that one first, and next it's saying, oh, would you like to create a shortcut? I'm like, no, I don't usually use shortcuts. If I'm going to... Most games I either run through clients or I have them on my taskbar. Nothing happened. Then I go and click the second link, and then that's when the rest of the game decides it wants to install. After, of course, creating a separate account for Nexon EU. So the installation, it's just one of those things of, why are there so many other steps? To be honest. I mean, I'm gonna pull up Blizzard here. Because Blizzard has multiple games similar to Nexon, but Blizzard also has its own client, the Battle.net client. And so, you're only downloading the Battle.net client, and then through the client, you can download each and separate all the games you own from Blizzard. Same thing with Steam. Same thing with Star Wars: The Old Republic. Same thing with Final Fantasy XIV. They are all run through their clients, and the client is the only thing you are downloading from the site. Any patches, any major game updates, and even the games themselves are installed through the client.
Right. So, needless to say, you weren't super happy with the installation process.
Not really, because it just added so many different things, and the fact is the game was downloading through my browser, not through an installation wizard or anything. It was all through my browser.
Right. Anyway, once you installed the game and you got it running, what did you think about the character creation?
Well, before getting into character creation, if the game would have even let me connect to the damn server. Because I spent quite a bit of time just clicking over and over. Click on the server, connect. Click on the server, connect. Click on the server, connect. You've been disconnected from the server. Click on the server, connect. Click on the server, connect. You've been disconnected from the server. But once I got in there, and going through character creation is so bare bones. There's nothing. Except from the classes, obviously. And each class is basically, oh, this is what you want to look like. There's really no rhyme or reason to why the classes are gender-specific only. Or at least they don't explain that. Like, for example, the Dragon Knight. I forgot what the equivalent was or something like that.
It's the Azure Knight.
But the male equivalent, it was the Azure Knight. Okay, cool. The Azure Knight. And then the Dragon Knight. I mean, aside from the slightly different stats, why are these classes restricted to the gender? This is just my personal preference, and on top of that, I couldn't customize my character at all. The only choice I had was click on the class. Do I like that model? No? Okay, cool. Next. Like, I didn't even really pay attention to the stats because I'm like, I'll learn to play it. But right. Dragon Knight, I play Dragoon in Final Fantasy XIV. Let's go. And so it's very bare bones, and it's like, there's really no customization that I was able to do to make the character unique and own. So I got this kind of like, even this stock like anime girl here that I have.
Right. Alright, so once you got into the game, I'm just gonna kind of let you go from here. You told me that you played the game for about an hour and a half before you didn't want to play anymore. So I'm just gonna let you go from the time that you first logged in to the time that you logged off. Tell us what you thought of the game.
When I first logged in, I don't expect this, but I got really no sense of what the world is. If you know me, I'm a big person that's involved in like story and lore. Mm-hmm. So I will sit down and I will listen and I will read the quest text and whatnot. So I really didn't get any introduction to the world itself, what the state of the world is in.
Right.
Or whatever, what the hell I'm doing as a character.
Right.
But again, that's overall from an MMO perspective, that's really not that much of an important thing. It's nice because story is one of the things that usually keeps me playing most MMOs I played.
Right.
So that's like from the get-go, that's just like something minor. But the biggest gripe I had was its intuition for a lot of games and a lot of MMOs is that the main movement keys are WASD. And noticing from the camera angle that you start off with, it suggested that. What it doesn't suggest is the fact you can left-click on the mouse, and that's also moving on like a direct path. There's something inherently wrong with that because, let's say for you, Matt, if I wanted to take a closer look at your gear, in other MMOs I played, it is simply right-click on you, and just left-click examine, and it opens up kind of like a character screen, and I can take a look at your gear and see what you have.
Right.
So that was kind of like the thing. I saw some people with like some neat mods, and like for you with your wings there. I do that. Next thing I know, I am walking an entirely separate direction from when I was moving.
Ah, yes, the path system in this game.
So I'm just like over here going like, what the hell's going on? Until then I realized, I thought it was just like, okay, maybe it was a mistake. Maybe I did something stupid. No worries. Then I start moving and I start clicking on like NPCs and whatnot. And I'm walking and my character is like having a seizure while walking. And that's when I really recognize the fact it's like, oh, this is mouse. It's also a mouse-driven movement. Right. Why? Why? If you want a mouse-driven system, then give us an asymmetric camera view. Mm-hmm. So we can get like this aerial view down on the feet on where we're playing, so we can actually see it and start us off like that. Because 9 times out of 10, most gamers will see that and will be like, "Oh, okay," and click and see character move. Whereas you start with like the default camera where it's over the shoulder behind your back type deal, it's going to be like, okay, we're looking at WASD. Mm-hmm. So, and that's something. Another thing, And so, navigation, some direction would be nice. Like, when I accepted, like, it made it very obvious who I'm supposed to get a quest from in there earlier as it starts a conversation, but after that, there's nothing. And this is something that harkens back to, like, Vanilla WoW and whatnot, so I'm not too worried about that, but at the same time, there's, like, really nothing that gives you any sort of direction. I look at the quest text most of the time. It didn't even give me a direction where to go. It just said, find this person. Okay, where's this person? Until I decided to hover over the dots on the map, and it started giving me names of things. And then after futzing around with the buttons, one thing I will give this game, it at least makes it where M is the hotkey for map and I is the default hotkey for your inventory.
Right.
Whereas M, and then it looks like, oh, I can click on an NPC and it'll give me the quest marker.
Mm-hmm.
Why not just give it to me right away?
Right.
So, why not just do it right away? Why do I have to do this needless clicking? These extra steps? And then for a while, then I started doing it, like the first 5 quests or so. No, it was like 4 quests. It was basically the standard MMO, go kill mob.
Mm-hmm.
Go kill X of this creature. I go do that. I'm not even done with, like, the second quest requirements, and I already noticed, I'm like, holy crap, I'm like level 7 or 8. And you told me that level cap is 200. Fine. Cool. But by then, and that was just like one thing I was looking at. I was just like, wait, I don't really have like more skills to use at this point, regardless of when level cap is for any game.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like, I thought, and I didn't click into me. I'm like, oh, do I really have to open up and drag them onto my hotboard one at a time? Instead of them just appearing on my hotboard. Like, when you level up in the game, you get, like, this little aura, but that's it. It's like, oh, you leveled up. Nothing goes into the sense of, oh, you got new skill, or the frickin' stat points. I am sorry, but this game needs to let you know you can allocate your stat points. And that was something I didn't know, so I found myself dying a lot. Because I don't know if it's an event or not, but these green blob things and white blob things will occasionally pop out of creatures I killed. And I'm like, oh, why is this? And it was seemingly random with no rhyme or reason. And then I got attacked by like a basketball or something like that.
Oh my gosh, you were getting killed by the event monsters?
Well, no, I didn't get killed by the basketball, but the green things.
You got killed by the rice cakes.
Yeah, there we go.
That's really funny. Anyway, yeah, I mean, and that's probably really weird to you, too. I mean, yeah, there's an event going on, but how would you know that? So it's like...
I mean, I figured there's something basketball going on, because there's, like, 2 super large basketballs in, like, the starting area when you all log in, but I didn't know anything about the fucking rice cakes. And, like, I mean, if I want to go on about events, normally the events are a lot bigger things. Like, people know what the events are.
Right. Nothing in game tells you.
Usually usually what wrong them. Like, wow, and actually I'm going to use Final Fantasy XIV for this, because they're in the midst of doing an event right now.
Uh-huh.
It's their Easter event, basically.
Right.
And when you log in chat, it says, hey, this event's going on.
Right.
And whatnot. When you go into the client, it's right in your face saying, hey, this event, this seasonal limited time only event is going on.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going over here, and next thing I know, I'm like looking at my health. I'm like, holy shit, this rice cake is like taking out like one time it took out like half my health. I'm like, wait a minute, this character, according to like the stat chart thing that they give you during character creation, is supposed to be a little tankier. Why am I dying so easily?
Right.
Then that's when it clicked to me. It's like, oh, I have to allocate stat points, don't I? Because in Final Fantasy XIV, it kind of does something similar to that.
Mm-hmm.
But it lets you know when you get the attribute, when you get that stat point to allocate. It shows up when you level up in Final Fantasy 14, once you start collecting your attribute points, which are stat points basically, it will show up on the screen saying you gain 1 attribute point. It is hard to miss that, and you are like, oh, I need to go allocate that, otherwise I am not performing at my optimum thing.
Right.
And like, I spent a good amount of time just playing this without anything, without really noticing this, and then there's really no clear sense of progression, I feel. At all. I'm just trying to think of what else I can say in regards to, like, combat. It's a little clunky, in my opinion. Like, one of the things is like, there's this basic auto attack, which this auto attack is actually kind of quick. For a normal auto attack in most games.
Right.
But when I press an ability, typically I expect either something letting me know if it's a cast, or if it's an instant, it usually goes right away. I had, like, at least a 2-second delay before that ability would actually go off.
Right.
And that's just something that's like, oh, why is it taking this long for this ability to go off? And that was actually one of the things that got me killed, because practically virtually every other MMO I played, when I press an ability on my hotkey, if it's an instant cast ability, it usually happens and right when I press it.
Right. Well, do you have anything else to add?
I'm trying to think, because I mean, I can go on with, like, some of the things of, like,
let's talk about so you mentioned that you weren't too impressed with the storyline, you weren't too impressed with the combat. How about just the overall look of the game?
Overall look of the game, it's actually fine. It's fine. It's not the best. I've definitely seen better. But it's also not the worst.
Right.
I mean, going in, like, and let's put it this way, on a graphical setting, out of the MMOs I've played, I haven't played RuneScape in a while, so I don't know what its current incarnation looks like.
Right.
But back when I was playing, and back when they did, like, a rather large graphical update, if you were to compare that to, like, maybe to, like, WoW and, like, Final Fantasy 14 levels of graphics, this isn't kind of, like, happy in the middle.
Right. And
the graphics design, it's fine until you start getting me on the poppin'. Oh my god, that fucking poppin'. You just reminded me of that.
I'm not even sure what you're talking about.
Okay, poppin' is basically view distance. You know how in certain games when you have, like, a view distance?
Yeah.
Poppin' is basically when things just kind of pop in from nowhere.
Okay.
And most games, a really well put together game, will usually have a large view distance. Will usually have your view distance set at a max.
Right.
To where you see, like, a distortion, like whether it's, like, blurry farther up, or you really don't see finer details, and that allows details to pop in out there, so when you get closer to it, they're not just popping in from nowhere. You see them coming. I was in an area, and I go in and I take a few steps. It was one of the mobs. I was doing the Lizardmen quest, so one of the first ones you do.
Yeah.
Like, you know, that area has, like, a ton of Lizardmen.
Yep.
I take a few steps away from this group, and they all of a sudden disappear. And I'm like, wait, what? Walk a few steps back. They pop back in. And it's like after, like, a good second I walk back when they pop in.
Oh.
I mean, and I was just sitting here, I'm like, that's fucking terrible.
Yeah.
Why?
On a side note, we just got a message that says the server closes in 5 minutes, so that's kind of interesting. So why don't we try to wrap this up? I've got a few more questions for you.
Cool. Wait, what? There's a message?
Yeah, in the...
Oh, I just say it. Okay, cool.
So let's go through these last couple questions I have for you quick, because it'll end my recording software. I don't feel like having to mess with that. So overall, what did you think of the game?
to be rather blunt, after I log off from doing this, I'm probably never going to log back in.
Right. That actually answers another one of my questions, which is, are you going to keep playing? So, that's definitely a no. Anyway, would you recommend this game to a friend?
Not really. Unless I was going to suffer through it with them. No. I honestly would not.
Right.
I mean, I have another friend who's like big in the MMOs. If I were to recommend this to him, he'd be like, he would probably quit. He may get further than probably what I've got and then quit.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, a lot of people that I know, God, even Lord of the Rings Online I could see myself playing a little more than this.
Right.
But it's just one of those things. I feel no motivation to continue going on, so I would not recommend this to another person based on that alone.
Right. And then my second to last question for you is, do you think this game is new player friendly?
Not really. I mean, I was only able to figure out a lot of the stuff because I played other MMOs.
Right.
And I played games for a while.
Mm-hmm.
If I was like 12 and I just get on this game or something like that, even though it says you're 17, I bet you any money there is a large people who are like under 10 playing this. Just because there is in every MMO, regardless of rating.
Right.
It would be... I would get too frustrated with just trying to figure out... I would get bored way too easily. Yeah. I would not know what the hell's going on.
All right. So you would not recommend this to a friend?
No, I would not.
All right. And then my last quick question, because we're running out of time here, is...
2 minutes.
What would be your biggest suggestion for the creators of this game? Just one. Biggest one.
My biggest suggestion, honestly, as much as I want to say story, you really need to work on this UI.
Right.
This user interface. Because, and like the things when I said about the skills, I wouldn't have even thought about having an entirely separate skill book off to the side.
Right.
If it wasn't for the fact I've played other games and
right.
know there's a comprehensive list of skills.
Right.
So they really need to rework this UI and make it more intuitive and more friendly to everyone in general. I mean, like, it seems like there's just this learning curve to it that's...
Yeah.
If I would just stumbled upon this on my own and decided to check it out, I wouldn't be bothered.
Right. Hi. Well, Dennis, I sincerely thank you for your time. I know you're a busy guy, and I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to check out this game for me.
No problem.
I hope everyone enjoyed the video, and until next time, take care, guys.